Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Konstantinos Ouzounis. I am the General Manager of Ethos Media, publisher of Chrima magazine and Money Conferences. We welcome you to the fourth Banking Money Conference, which is presented to you in association with our partners Euromoney Conferences. You know that the action is very thick these days in Greece. There are serious repercussions for the Greek banking sector from what is happening. The two main themes these days are the agreement between the EU, the IMF, and the Greek government regarding the solution to the Greek debt with a 50% haircut of the Greek government bonds, and in order for us not to stay idle, yesterday we had the referendum which the Greek Prime Minister has called to ratify the above-mentioned agreement. In this light, what would be a high-level solution for Europe, and what would be the repercussions for Greece and its banking system? These and other topics will be discussed in our Money Conference. Times are very uncertain, and we cannot look at the Greek banking system as being in isolation from the European and global banking system. And of course, any developments in banks are related to what's happening in the government, its fiscal policies and debt, etc. We are going to see some fast developments this week, and they are related to perhaps to even a fast renegotiation of the deal that was struck on the 27th of October. This might be a surprise to many of you, because we said just a week ago this is over, but 120% debt in 10 years perhaps is not sustainable. So I think there is a possibility of renegotiation even now, and perhaps the referendum will act as a pivotal point for Greece to achieve better provisions. Because everything is interlinked, I would like to quote from Euromoney magazine a part of what's happening and what is the underlying circumstances of why Europe, why Germany, why France, and why even the United States are pushing towards a resolution of the Greek and the peripheral debt crisis is this. All market participants now realize that the European single currency cannot carry on as it is, and most expect an eventual resolution to take the form of a closer fiscal union. The chief obstacle to this appears to be a German electorate that never really wanted to swap its precious Deutschmarks for the new single currency in the first place. Might there be another endgame? Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty allows for withdrawal of a member state from the European Union, negotiated and approved by the European Council and the EU Parliament. It seems inconceivable that Germany would ever take this course, but it would appear the only alternative to closer fiscal union. If Germany were to leave the single currency, its new national currency would immediately strengthen against the ramp euro. That would secure redenominated domestic savings and make continuing euro debt service for the government and German companies quite easy, although German investors might not be happy to have assets serviced in a weakened euro while having to pay their bills in a restored and strong Deutschmark. German banks would also be left with a devalued ramp euro assets on their balance sheets, including exposures to sovereign, corporate and bank borrowers left in a weakened euro bloc that would suffer unquantifiable economic contagion, as well as financial system and economic stress. German companies, notably explorers, would be at an immediate currency disadvantage and possibly on the outside of the EU free trade bloc. Workers would be laid off, leading to social tension. UBS economists Steve Dio, Paul Donovan, and Larry Hathaway have attempted to weigh up the cost to Germany of leaving the EU and with it the euro. They suggest that the consequences would include corporate default, recapitalization of the banking system, and collapse of international trade. If Germany were to leave, they believe the cost would be around 6,000 to 8,000 euro for every German adult and child in the first year, and a range of 3,500 to 4,500 euro a person a year thereafter. That is equivalent of 20 to 25% of GDP in the first year. And that, they say, would be the least of Europe's and Germany's woes. Europe would lose political influence, and the economists add that almost no modern flat currency monetary union have broken up without some form of authoritarian or military government or civil war. That's scary stuff. In comparison, the UBS economists say that the cost of bailing out Greece, Ireland, and Portugal entirely in the wake of the default of those countries would be a little over 1,000 euro per person in a single hit. The UBS calculation is based on the euro area buying up the remaining debts, including to the IMF, of Greece, Portugal, and Ireland, and those countries defaulting with a 50% haircut. So this is one of the alternatives, perhaps. This shows why this is not an alternative. This conference will discuss, and we have with us extremely important speakers like Mr. Markus Krall from Roland Berger, who is going to do the keynote speech. But for the beginning, I would like to thank our sponsors, NBG and Attica Bank. I would also want to thank the Hellenic Bank Association, the Union of Listed Companies, and Mr. Drakos personally, who is here attending, the Hellenic Fund and Asset Management Association, who always provide our conferences with their auspices and their help, ALBA, who is the academic partner, V&O Communications, who is our communication partner, and I would also like to personally thank Mr. Mark Johnson from Euromoney Conferences, who is our moderator and helped us prepare this conference agenda and what's happening in this conference, and the managing director of Euromoney Magazine, Euromoney Conferences, Mr. Christopher Garnett. So without further ado, I want to present Mr. Mark Johnson. Mark will do a short introduction to the conference with his really extensive international experience and put this conference into perspective.